In this episode of the No Rest for the Vivid podcast, to celebrate my 300th episode, I'm going to be telling you how to get started with your own podcast, because I know you're probably putting it off because you're not sure where to start. Well, let me take you on a very short ride or journey. Bloody hate journey, but anyway, not the band, but the word journey. Let me take you on a little journey to get you started on your podcast. And the reason I want to do this for you is because I believe that everybody has a podcast in them. It's the same as everyone has a book. If you enjoy talking, and there's no shame in enjoying talking, but if you do, you will be able to share all of your thoughts and wisdom to enable other people to listen. Why not? And that's a good question. Why not you to start a podcast? And I just want to give a little shout out to, as you know, this podcast is always a little bit personable, but this podcast episode is dedicated to my best friend Bex, who is listening with eager anticipation because she will be starting her new podcast soon. So this is for you, Bex. I'm going to be telling you and all the other people how to start a podcast. So first, I'm going to just share a little bit of the journey behind No Rest for the Vivid and why I started a podcast. Because when you are thinking about doing it, you want to be really connected to what the point is. And if that point is, I just want some joy and to have some creativity, more creativity in my life, then that's a good enough reason. All right. You don't have to have a, I'm going to change loads of people's lives kind of element. It could be from an entertainment point of view. Obviously, this podcast is both educational and very entertaining. But it's from that point of view of, what do you love listening to? What do you feel might be missing, or what can you contribute? And just listen to that intuition, because it never steers you wrong. So for me, I wanted more to hear more stories of that messy middle of where people had faced the fear in their business and they did it anyway, because there were moments, and there still are, where I go, oh my God, this is so scary. I don't know if I can do it. And I need to hear from someone that's a little bit further along or not. It doesn't really matter at what stage of business you're at, but somebody who is going to share a story that I resonate with in order for me to get more courage to face that fear. So I wanted to share more stories of that, as well as having a really like a value-packed podcast that people didn't need to go elsewhere for. To be fair though, I mean, I'm not going to be like, why are you listening to other podcasts? Because there's only one episode a week now, so blatantly listening to more podcasts. But I want it to be engaging, and I wanted people to just feel inspired by the work that I do, my story, my challenges, and I've just had a lot to say. So, that's why I do it. And when I started the Vivid Business, that's the membership, the Vivid Business Club. You can join, start your 7 free days today. But when I started the No Rest for Vivid podcast, I was working in my business, Vivid Wire, still going on the side. And I just wanted to start a podcast, and it was as simple as that. But bloody hell, did I long it out? Did I long that whole process of getting started? And this is the reason for this episode, because I was like, no one's going to listen to it. What's the point? What's the point? Who are people going to, who do I think I am having a podcast? And the reason I got started with it was like, I just want to share stories. I want to share stories from my own experience and from others. And I think that my voice and how I engage with my followers on Instagram at that time is entertaining enough to sustain a podcast. So that was how it was. And having the brand of Vivid Wire, I really wanted that word vivid. And as you know, if you've been listening for a while, the word vivid is in my branding because my nickname is Vid, because of my maiden name, Vidler. So having the word vivid in the podcast was really, really important. And so I love the idea of a pun. So I sat there. So the first step, by the way, let me just I'm just interrupting myself in a story. The first step to starting your podcast is, what do you want to say? What is that mission? What do you want your dream listeners to be connecting to, and how, what do you want to share? And that's enough. So that's valid. Number 2, name it. I always say this about starting a business or a podcast or anything, put a name to it, because all of a sudden an identity is applied to that thing that you're creating, that idea. And one of your duties when you are starting a new idea and when you have a dream is to protect it from your doubt. And if it doesn't have a name, it has less substance and identity. So your doubt has got more room to go, look, it's not even got a name. So why are you even bothering? So I want you to name the podcast. And so I'm going to go back to my story about No Rest for the Vivid. I really like puns. So I remember putting into Google, I found this was before ChatGPT. That would have probably come up with so many ideas now, but obviously the podcast is 3.5 years old. So it was a while before AI was in its usability as it is now. And I said, there was this pun calculator. So this is the name, the word that I want to add in, vivid. How can I use that in a sentence, in a pun, in order to create this brand, I suppose, around the podcast. And so I went through, oh my God, I must have had about 10 different names for the podcast. And then it come back with, and I let myself just get quite clear and just allowed myself the patience of gaining clarity. And then bang, No Rest for the Vivid. It just felt so good to have it. Then it was designing the cover, the cover shot. Now my first one was awful, bloody rank, probably the worst logo that I've ever created. But back then I wasn't using Canva. Again, you've got Canva now. You can create a gorgeous logo whenever you want at the drop of a hat, and it is going to look really professional. And I believe I used PowerPoint to create my logo. There's the teacher in me. I can always tell people that used to be teachers, because I think it's better now, but depending on how long they've been out of teaching, that they use PowerPoint. I think I spoke to my sister who's a head teacher, and she was talking about PowerPoint, and I was like, babe, it's all about the Canva now. What are you doing? Get on the Canva train. But anyway, Canva is not paying for this podcast, but if you want to, Canva, I'm very happy for you to sponsor my podcast. So I named it and I recorded it, and then I had the logo or the cover photo, and I was like, right, I'm ready. Recording the bloody thing. So I now use software called Riverside, and I will put my affiliate link into the show notes, because I am a massive fan of Riverside, huge fan of Riverside. And the best thing, again, Riverside isn't sponsoring this podcast, but I'm going to share with you that it's a really good tool to have in your locker if you're starting a podcast. I'm going to tell you now what I do, and I'm going to tell you how I first started editing in a minute, and you're going to see the transition. Because one thing that comes up about having a podcast is that you think it's going to take a lot of time. Now, obviously, you have to record it. I now have the wonderful Hannah that edits all my podcasts, but before Hannah, how did I get it all done when I was running a business? And at that time, because it's not making any direct sales for you or not making any money when you first start out, is it worth your time? I'm going to come back to that in a minute and just make a note for myself, because I have planned this podcast, but I know I'll probably forget it. Anyway, so I had this, so what I used to do was, what I do now is I record on Riverside, and there is a free option, and I believe that free option is an hour a month, though I'm not exactly sure, but you do have, I think it has the watermark on it. So I pay for the, do you know what? I don't even know what one I pay for. It works out at about £24 a month. The best thing about Riverside is how much Hannah and I use it for my social media marketing and creating short form videos from the podcast, as well as the ability to publish straight from Riverside to Spotify. So I'm going to come to that in a minute about publishing. But I recommend, if you're starting right now, to use Riverside. And I'm going to say Riverside because I just can't, there are some little niggles, but I adopted it quite early on. And I really believe in software like this. It's going to get better and better. It's going to get better as you grow. So getting involved with something like this, so you're learning how it is, and then just anticipating the updates are going to benefit you further, get on board with it. Riverside, you can record straight in. So just like now, right now, my setup is obviously microphone, and I've got my phone as my camera. So this is my camera. I don't use my laptop. And right in front of me, I have a ring light and a little, what's it called? Tripod phone thing. Obviously really good with the lingo of the tools I use, but that's how I have it. And it's just on my desk. As you see, I'm sitting down and I can see my screen now where I'm recording. But right in front of me, I use my phone camera because it gives a much better picture than my laptop camera. And I am able to sync my phone with my Mac. Now, if you've got a Mac and you've got an iPhone, it's so super easy for that to happen. And Riverside can support you to do that within the software itself. If you have a Windows laptop, like a Microsoft laptop, then there is a app called Epoch, I believe, where you can sync via Bluetooth or a cable your phone as the camera, like a webcam. So if you want to use your camera to record the podcast, then you can get an app, and you just have to search for one, like just Google it, an app that allows your phone to be a webcam. So many programs do it, but that gives a little bit of a better picture. And the reason you want that is so that you can repurpose your videos to short form video content if you are going to use this as part of your marketing strategy, which I really recommend you do. My podcast is one of the main ways that I reach new clients and new members for the Vivid Business Club and all of my coaching programs and my courses. I feel that my clients, my prospective clients, really get to know me through my podcast so they can trust me better in order to make that move and invest in themselves and know that I'm the answer they've been looking for. Without this podcast, they would only have that through my Instagram and LinkedIn content. Well, I'm on TikTok as well, I'm bloody everywhere, and in my email newsletters. But I appreciate that my dream client wants to learn more about me. You want to be, and a lot of my clients have said this as well as members, when I'm talking about things, I become a voice inside your head that allows you to become the person you want to be. That is, we're turning the dial up on the voice, the cheerleading voices and the cheerleading moments that we get in our business life in order for us to progress. And this is what this podcast does. If I didn't have this podcast, that like weaving into people's brains, it just sounds like I'm some kind of alien. Oh, I'm going to do your brain. But it wouldn't be as effective. So that's why I really, really love doing my podcast. And I feel like sometimes I want to explore ideas that I can't always do in a 30-second reel or a 60-second reel. But I can recreate those 30, 60, 1.5-minute reels from a long form piece of content like this. The best thing that is evergreen. People find my podcast sometimes years after I've recorded the initial, like the first episode or whatever episode they're listening to, but something within it has picked it up, and then they get to binge all the other 299 episodes that we have. So it's a piece of content that stays alive for as long as you want it to, unlike Instagram, LinkedIn. I love the fact that it is on, I can put it onto YouTube. There's a video element on Spotify, and Riverside can create all of that for me. So from the editing point of view, I don't know what number I'm at, by the way, I'm really sorry. From the editing point of view, if you use something like Riverside, and I really recommend Riverside, have that, it's really easy for you to edit inside of the software. You get to design the captions. If you've noticed from my content, my captions usually look exactly the same because Riverside enable me to design the captions to look that way. And then I get to just plonk them onto the short form content. Editing like this allows us to put an outro on. I mean, to be honest, we are going through, we're going to update things on the podcast soon, like with a new intro, and like because it's on YouTube a little bit more, we need to upgrade that. I don't know when that's going to happen. It's not a priority, but just to let you know that you have the right to change up anything that you create whenever you want to. So don't feel like when you get started, that's how it's got to be and it's got to be the finished product. It doesn't. You want to be doing a done is better than perfect situation. So once you've edited it, you want to publish it on, my chosen platform is Spotify. There is Buzzsprout as well. I don't believe that you can host on Apple Podcast Connect, which is what the Apple Podcast sort of platform is, but you do have to pay a subscription in order for Apple to host your podcast. It's only £18 a year, but that for me, apart from the Riverside, which you can access for free, I don't think there's any other costs in order to create a podcast. I don't think I pay, apart from paying Hannah to edit it, but when I started, that was all I paid, £18. The old way that I used to edit was, and this is what you can do if you don't choose for Riverside, you can record on Zoom, which is great because one thing that Riverside doesn't have is the sound sometimes doesn't sound as crystal clear as it could on Zoom. But I'm going to talk about mics in a minute, by the way. But there is like a AI sort of tidy up of the sound, which gets it close enough. So that's the only downside to Riverside. I do think actually the audio is a little bit better on Zoom, but the picture is nowhere near as good. Nowhere near. And you will know if you've seen some of my content that it didn't used to look as good. And then all of a sudden you can see all of my wrinkles and my grey roots, because I'm using now Riverside and my phone. I couldn't do that with Zoom in the effective way. And the reason for that is that Zoom records. Do you know what? I'm not even going to explain it because I'm not quite sure. Zoom does something different to Riverside, and it means that Riverside is better quality visually. But then I would get the Zoom, and if you've used Zoom before, again, there's a free version of Zoom. You get the video recording and the audio. And what I did was use to get the audio, and then I would edit that in a program called Audacity, which is free, and usability is not great, but you can learn how to use it. There's loads of YouTube videos. And so, yeah, I used to edit in Audacity and then publish onto the Spotify podcast. It used to be called Anchor. Now it's called Spotify Creators or something like that. And we publish on there, and then it publishes to all of the other places that you can host a podcast. And I really like Spotify for hosting. I think sometimes the analytics aren't as clear as I want them to be. It's different. Like you'll get different analytics showing up on a desktop web page compared to a mobile web page. But I love the fact that I can publish. I'm saying I do it, like Hannah does it for me, but Hannah can publish this episode, edit it, and then publish straight to Spotify, which means that people can actually watch it because Spotify is supporting video podcasts now, and have a video to then publish onto YouTube. And then Hannah uses all of this software, and I use it as well for creating short form video content, which I then publish to Instagram, in LinkedIn, TikTok, God knows what else. And the thing is, and YouTube, the thing is that what I love about it is there is a magic AI which can actually create the clips for you. You don't even have to do it. Sometimes they're a bit dodgy, but a lot of the time they're all right. You can actually specifically say, like, within this episode, can you create some some clips about whatever you're talking about in that episode, so it can like highlight those parts. What I really like to do, so Hannah does all the guest episodes and I do the solo ones, and you will see if you follow me on Instagram, I will go through the transcript, I can highlight it, click keep only this, and then I've got the clip. So whatever I've said in that value, I get to pull out and create a reel for that, and then download it. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, you've got a piece of content. So I want you to really, if you're going to go for a podcast, think, how can I use this? Like, I'm now 20 minutes into this recording. This is probably going to create, like this episode, probably going to create 5 pieces of content that is going to be repurposed in multiple places. It's going to also create like a blog post as well as a podcast blog post, because I do both when I'm moving on to the blog, which I'm really excited about actually. I can use all of these steps in order to move forward with my business and drive traffic to where I want my dream clients to go to in order to make sales and grow my business. Now, going back to the practical side of recording a podcast, like I said about the camera, microphone is an important part, as you can appreciate. Now, recently, you would have seen that I have my new podcast. No, mic. I've just got thrown because this mic thing it's just done it again. Why is it showing up? Bloody hell, I bloody hope this is working. I think it is. Because you know how many times I've recorded a podcast and it's been completely mute. And then Hannah goes, yeah, there's no sound on episode, whatever. So fingers crossed. Anyway, so recently I bought this microphone. I will add the link into it'll be an affiliate link, but I got it from Amazon, and I also got these from Amazon. It's a Toner, which is actually the brand of the very first microphone that I bought. That was about 30 quid, and it had a shield around it. I really like the quality of this microphone. This is actually my favourite microphone, even though it's not the most expensive one. This was only 35 quid. The other microphone that I've used for ages was a, what is it called? A blue, no, the other microphone. I can't remember what it's called. Shall I quickly have a look? Because then otherwise, but really, I mean, I'm no expert in, right, let me just see, podcast, because it's going to, Yeti came into my head. So I think it's called a Blue Yeti. One of those microphones is really, really good. And I really liked it, but I didn't like that it sat right in front of me. I wanted to be able to move around a little bit more. So that's why I've gone for this now. And also because it's pink. But the microphone, I don't worry too much. Get something that you can afford, that does the job. Look at the reviews. If you're going to buy it from Amazon, I know not everybody is a great fan of Amazon, and I get it. But you're going to find something that really works for you at an affordable price on there. So we'll go into your local sort of sound place. They have them. I'm trying to think, there's one that I can't remember the name of, but maybe Curry's. I don't know. But have Maplins. Maplins used to do stuff like that. But have, like, buy something that you feel confident with and ensure that the sound is switched on when you start recording. If you don't want any other expense, I would record the audio via Zoom into your phone using wired headphones with a mic on. When you've got earpods and stuff, the sound quality is shocking. It is terrible. Do not use earpods or any other Bluetooth headphone. Always use a cabled one or something like this. Like, you're going to get, like, I could have got this wireless, but I went for a cable because I just don't, I can't trust the sound quality. Okay, so once you've got that, what we've gone through is the message of your podcast, what you're going to name it, the logo, how you're going to record it, what you're going to record it on. The other thing is intros. Now, there are free music websites where you can download pieces of music that you don't have to pay any royalties for. You can download it and then record over the top, again, using Riverside, or edit it in Audacity, up to you. But don't worry about the intro. If it is just you starting talking, and if you've been listening to this podcast, I've binned my intro out for the next part because I was like, it needs to be drum and bass. I need to get drum and bass in it. I've actually asked my ex-boyfriend to help me with that, but I don't know how that's going to go because he's a drum and bass DJ. But the reason why I don't know if it's going to work is because I dumped him when we were 18, and I'm a bit worried that I'm asking too much. But if you're listening to this, I think if the podcast blows up, you want to be on the intro. But anyway, on these these free royalty, it's like, please don't ever listen to this. On these free royalty websites, you can download whatever kind of music you want, and then you can credit them in the show notes or at the end. Like currently, my brother composed my very first intro, and at the end, I credit him for that because it's his composure. It's his composition. There you go. But don't let that hold you back. Like I say, this is a project, an ongoing project. And if my first episodes were shocking, so bad, but they still had value and done was better than perfect. And every single time I show up, I hope that my podcast gets better and better and better. And definitely with Hannah now working on my team, if you do think like I need help with all of this stuff, please look up Hannah. Hannah is HLS Services, I believe, on Instagram. Hannah, if you're listening to this, stick your Instagram link into the podcast because I'm just going to try and find it. Because Hannah is really, really, her Instagram is HLS_VA Services. Her name's Hannah Sheriff. If you are stuck with that, Hannah's dedication to growing this podcast and making it better and allowing getting more people to listen to it is phenomenal. I cannot recommend Hannah more to help. But if you're just starting out and you're not at that level of investment yet, just get it out there. Done is better than perfect. Now, I will be doing an episode at some point about how to grow your podcast because I haven't even started to talk about that. But before you really dedicate to getting it growing, get it started, and then talk about it where you can. This is part of your marketing strategy. It is a way for more eyes on you and your business. Or if you don't want to start a business, just do it for the fun of it. Allow it to be a creative outlet and allow your instincts to rule your mission forward. It's a really fun thing to do. I love doing my podcast, especially when I get guests on as well. Like if you want to ask people to do guests, you can interview them on Riverside or Zoom, up to you. But I know I may not have answered all of your questions. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can ask a question in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, ask a question in the comments. If you're listening on Apple, send me an email or send me a DM on Instagram. My handle is I am Claire Hill. I am very happy to answer any questions you've got about getting your podcast started because I know I wish I'd had that. So ask away. Do not hold back. I am a founder and a businesswoman that answers her emails and her messages. And even if you're listening to this, when I have hundreds of thousands of followers or even millions, I will reply. Well, by then, I might have a team of people that will reply for me. Okay, that's it. I'm going to wrap up there. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. You've got to do that when you have a podcast. Ask people to do it. Don't forget to follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you're watching, stick a little thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe there too. I really appreciate it. It really is. We celebrate every single one of you when we get that notification that you're following because we really appreciate you being here. So I hope that podcast was full of value and I shall see you in the next one. Speak to you soon, babe. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vick.